people's princess is dead across the country, across the world.
I think when you are bereaved at a very young age, anytime really, but particularly at a young age, I can resonate closely to that. You feel pain like no other pain, and you know that in your life it's going to be very difficult to come across something that's going to be even worse pain than that.
The story of Princess Diana's death is one that touched millions of hearts around the world. Her tragic passing in 1997 left an indelible mark not just on the royal family, but on the public as well. Her two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, were at the center of this tragedy, and they experienced grief in ways few can truly understand. But for years, Prince William has remained notably silent about his mother's death, choosing not to publicly discuss his feelings or the impact it had on him. This silence has intrigued many people, sparking questions about why he chooses not to openly share his emotions regarding such a pivotal moment in his life. William's grief journey. The death of Princess Diana in 1997 left an indelible mark on the royal family, particularly on her two young sons, William and Harry. At just 15 years old, William found himself in an impossible position. His world had been shattered, yet he was still expected to fulfill his duties as a royal. Grief, for William, couldn't simply be dealt with in private. It had to coexist with the very public role he played as the future king. One of the most striking moments of this struggle came during his mother's funeral. The world watched in shock as William, along with his younger brother Harry, walked behind Diana's coffin during the procession. This was a public display of mourning like no other. For the young princes, it was a deeply emotional moment that required them to put on a brave face and fulfill a royal duty. Imagine the weight on their shoulders, grieving the loss of their mother while knowing millions of people were watching, their every step scrutinized by the press. For William, this wasn't just a royal duty. It was a moment that forced him to balance his personal grief with the expectations placed on him as the future monarch. As he walked behind the coffin, there were mixed emotions: sorrow, anger, and perhaps a deep sense of duty to his mother's memory. While the world mourned Diana, for William, this was a personal, raw experience that few could truly understand. Over the years, William has rarely spoken about his grief in public. However, when he has shared his feelings, it's been an emotional experience for both him and his audience. In a 2017 BBC documentary marking 20 years since his mother's death, William opened up about the confusion and pain he felt during those early days of grief. He described how, at the time, he couldn't fully process what had happened. Like many who experience sudden loss, William was left questioning why this had to happen to him and his family. "I remember just feeling completely numb, disorientated, dizzy," William said in the documentary. For a young boy of 15, the loss of his mother in such a violent and sudden manner was almost too much to comprehend. The emotional confusion he felt then was something that stayed with him for years as he struggled to make sense of the pain. It was clear that, for William, the grief wasn't something that could easily be explained or understood in words. It was a process, one that would take years to unravel. This deep emotional conflict continued for years as William tried to navigate life as both a grieving son and a future king. In interviews, he has often mentioned how difficult it was to reconcile the private side of his emotions with the public role he was expected to play. There's a powerful contrast in these reflections. On one hand, he was a young man mourning the loss of his mother, and on the other, he was part of the royal family, expected to uphold the dignity and traditions of his position. The tension between these two sides of his life was undoubtedly overwhelming at times. Despite the public nature of his life, Prince William has always emphasized the importance of privacy in his grief journey. In fact, he has often spoken about how critical it was for him to have space away from the media and public attention during those early days after Diana's death. Obviously, back then, we didn't have smartphones or constant media coverage. We were fortunate to have the privacy to mourn, to collect our thoughts, and to have that space away from everybody, William said in the 2017 BBC documentary. This privacy, granted by the royal family, was a rare gift. It allowed William to process his emotions without the added pressure of being in the public eye. In many ways, it gave him the chance to just be a boy who had lost his mother, rather than a royal figure who was expected to be strong for the public. This sanctuary was invaluable as he navigated the complexities of grief, away from the constant scrutiny of the media and the royal duties that often left him little time for himself. William has mentioned that the role of his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, in helping shield him from the overwhelming media coverage during this time was crucial. In one interview, he recalled how his grandmother made an effort to protect him and Harry from seeing the intense media frenzy surrounding their mother's death. It was a tough decision for the Queen, balancing her responsibilities as monarch with her love and care for her grandchildren, but it was one that gave William and Harry a chance to mourn privately. Another aspect of William's grief journey that he shared with the public is how he found solace in nature, especially in the Scottish outdoors. After hearing the devastating news of his mother's passing, William was at Balmoral Castle, the royal family's residence in Scotland. In a speech many years later, William spoke about how the Scottish countryside offered him a sense of peace and refuge during those dark days. The service at Crathie Kirk that very morning, and in the dark days that followed, I found comfort and solace in the Scottish outdoors, William reflected. The beauty of the Scottish landscape provided him with an emotional escape, a place where he could process his feelings in peace, away from the chaos of royal duties and the media frenzy. For William, the hills and forests of Scotland became more than just a backdrop for his grief. They became a sanctuary, a place where he could feel a little closer to his mother and a little further from the overwhelming sadness that clouded his life at the time. This connection to Scotland remains significant for William even today. As an adult, he continues to speak fondly of the country, acknowledging that it holds both some of his happiest memories and some of his saddest. It was in Scotland that he first met his wife, Kate Middleton, and it remains a place where he and his family retreat for both joy and reflection. But the bond that William feels to Scotland, especially in the wake of his mother's death, is undeniable. The outdoor spaces offered him a break from the demands of royal life and gave him a safe place to process his grief. Changing narrative. Over time. For most of Prince William's life, the public rarely heard him speak about the tragic death of his mother, Princess Diana. His reluctance to address such a personal and painful loss became one of the mysteries of his royal life. Why did the heir to the British throne, often seen as open and approachable, choose to stay quiet about the death of the woman who had shaped much of his early years? For years, this silence sparked much speculation and curiosity among royal watchers and the general public. What was really going on behind closed doors? In the years following Diana's tragic passing in 1997, William, then just 15 years old, seemed to bury his emotions. Like many people who experience such an overwhelming loss at a young age, he was left to grapple with grief in a deeply private way. The media, in particular, was eager for any hint of what the prince might say about his mother's death. But William, who was just stepping into the role of a young royal, had other priorities. His focus, understandably, was on dealing with his grief in private. In the early years, his silence could have been attributed to a combination of personal choice and the nature of the royal family's approach to public life. The royal family, historically, has not been known for openly discussing personal emotions or grief. The Windsors, often seen as the epitome of stoicism, maintained a strong sense of duty, which meant that personal suffering was rarely displayed for public consumption. For William, this cultural expectation likely added to the weight of his grief. How could he speak openly about his mother when there were so many royal duties to attend to, and so many eyes watching him? However, as time passed, something began to shift. It's important to understand that Prince William, like many others who experience intense grief, likely found that bottling up emotions and avoiding the topic of his mother's death was not sustainable in the long term. And while he may not have been ready to open up immediately after Diana's death, it was clear that the pain of losing her would not simply fade away. It wasn't until much later that William began to speak more openly about his loss, showing a vulnerability that, in many ways, marked a significant departure from the usual royal behavior. It's important to highlight how, over time, William began to understand that sharing his grief wasn't a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. Slowly, but surely, he began to break his silence in public forums, making it clear that the boy who once kept his emotions hidden was now ready to talk about the pain he had carried for so many years. One of the most notable moments of this shift came when William joined his brother Harry in 2017 for a BBC documentary called Diana, 7 Days. This was a landmark moment because, for the first time, the two brothers were able to speak openly about their mother's death and the grief they had experienced in the years since. In the documentary, William admitted that he still struggled with the pain of her loss, revealing that even as an adult, the emotional scars remained. He also acknowledged how his mother's death had affected him in more profound ways than he had been able to express before. This was not the typical stoic royal response we were accustomed to seeing. It was raw, honest, and incredibly moving. But perhaps the most significant change in William's approach to discussing his grief came through his active involvement in mental health advocacy. In 2016, Prince William, along with his wife, Kate Middleton, and his brother Harry, launched the Heads Together campaign, a groundbreaking initiative aimed at promoting mental health awareness and encouraging open conversations about mental well-being. The campaign's core message was clear. It's okay to talk about your feelings, especially when you're going through tough times. For William, Heads Together represented more than just a charitable cause. It became an outlet for him to channel his own experiences of loss, grief, and mental health challenges into something positive. His decision to speak out about his own struggles, particularly his battle with grief after losing Diana, served as an inspiration to many. It also sent a powerful message to others who were silently suffering from their own mental health challenges. If the Duke of Cambridge, a member of the royal family, could talk about his emotions, then surely others could too. Through the Heads Together campaign, William made it clear that mental health was not a subject to be avoided or swept under the rug. He spoke about the importance of mental health care, particularly for men, who often feel societal pressure to hide their emotions and act tough. As part of the campaign, William, Harry, and Kate engaged in open discussions with mental health professionals and those who had personally experienced mental health challenges, offering both a platform for discussion and a sense of solidarity. William's personal involvement in Heads Together has undoubtedly helped shift the narrative around mental health within the royal family and beyond. He shared his experiences with the public, including how he had struggled with his emotions in the aftermath of Diana's death. He admitted that, for many years, he didn't allow himself to process his feelings properly. This, he explained, led to long periods of stress and anxiety, which is not uncommon for those who experience a deep and unresolved loss. In the years since, William has continued to be a vocal advocate for mental health, speaking candidly about the importance of dealing with grief in a healthy and constructive way. His openness about his own struggles has been a powerful example for others, especially for men who may feel societal pressure not to express vulnerability. By sharing his own grief journey, William has helped make the topic of mental health more approachable and less stigmatized, and in doing so, he has set an example for countless individuals who are navigating their own emotional challenges. William's evolving narrative, from silence to openness, has shown the world that it is okay to face difficult emotions and share them with others. He has gradually broken down the barriers that once kept him silent about his mother's death, showing that even someone in his position is not immune to the complexities of grief and loss. It is a journey that many can relate to, whether they are public figures or private individuals. William's decision to share his grief publicly is a reflection of the changing attitudes toward mental health and emotional well-being in society. What once was considered a private matter is now being discussed openly, thanks in no small part to William's efforts to break the stigma surrounding mental health. By opening up about his own experience, William has not only honored the memory of his mother, Princess Diana, but he has also given others the courage to confront their own emotional pain and find healing in the process. As we look to the future, William's ongoing work in mental health advocacy will undoubtedly continue to inspire others to share their stories and seek help when needed. Through his example, he has shown that while grief is a deeply personal journey, it's also a shared experience that connects us all. And in that shared experience, there is hope, healing, and strength. Insights into William's silence. Prince William's silence on the death of his mother, Princess Diana, has long been a subject of intrigue and speculation. While it's easy to assume that his quietness stems from simply being a private person, the reality is much deeper. There are multiple reasons behind why William has chosen not to openly discuss such a tragic event in his life. His silence isn't just about keeping personal emotions hidden. It's also about a mix of personal emotional considerations, strategic image management, and a deep respect for how grief affects individuals in unique ways. First and foremost, Prince William's decision to maintain privacy can be traced back to personal emotional reasons. The death of a parent, especially at a young age, is an overwhelming experience. William was just 15 when his mother passed away, and the emotional toll it took on him was immense. It's entirely understandable that, after such a traumatic event, he would feel the need to guard his emotions and avoid exposing them publicly. Grief, particularly when it involves the loss of someone as beloved as Princess Diana, is something that can't easily be shared in the public eye, especially when it's accompanied by the scrutiny and pressure that comes with being a member of the royal family. As William himself has expressed in various interviews, the initial shock left him feeling confused and disoriented, not knowing how to process such deep sorrow. For many people in similar situations, it's a natural instinct to retreat into privacy during such an emotionally charged time, and William's decision to do so was likely driven by the need to protect his emotional well-being. At the same time, Prince William's silence can also be seen as part of the royal family's strategy when it comes to managing their public image. The royal family has always been under intense public scrutiny, and their personal lives are often viewed through the lens of duty and tradition. By remaining somewhat private about his grief, William was, perhaps unconsciously, aligning with the royal tradition of keeping personal matters out of the public spotlight. Royals have long been expected to maintain a composed and controlled image, even in the face of tragedy. In the case of Diana's death, while the public mourned with the family, there was also an expectation that William, as the future king, would remain strong and dutiful. Public displays of grief were complicated by his royal status, and the family often finds itself in the delicate balance between showing emotion and fulfilling their royal roles. This sense of duty likely influenced William's decision to stay silent, at least publicly, as he navigated the immense personal loss while fulfilling his responsibilities. However, there is another layer to his silence: respect for the grieving process. Grief is not a one-size-fits-all experience. It affects people in different ways, and no two people cope with loss the same way. For Prince William, grieving his mother was undoubtedly a personal and private journey. He has been open about how difficult it was to find comfort in such a painful time, but he also emphasized how important it was for him to deal with his emotions on his own terms. This respect for personal grief is something that many can relate to, regardless of their status. People who go through profound loss often find solace in solitude or in other ways that may not be visible to the public eye. William's choice to not discuss his mother's passing immediately, or to do so selectively, highlights the understanding that grieving is something deeply personal. It's not something that can always be shared, especially when the world is watching. William's approach to grief, especially over the years, has been more about quietly honoring his mother's memory and legacy, rather than dwelling on the pain. He has started to speak about her death more openly in recent years, especially through his work with mental health initiatives like Heads Together. This shift has allowed him to frame his grief in a way that could help others who are struggling with loss, making it a way to connect rather than to publicly mourn. In doing so, he has gradually opened up about his emotions, but in a way that feels right for him, slowly and on his own terms. This speaks to a larger point about the royal family's evolving attitude toward mental health and emotions, with William becoming more of an advocate for others who may be grieving in silence, just as he did. The bottom line is that Prince William's silence about his mother's death should not be seen as indifference or avoidance. Instead, it reflects a complex mix of emotional protection, royal duty, and respect for the unique ways people grieve. It's a reminder that grief is not something that can always be shared in a public space. It's deeply personal and varies greatly from person to person. As time has passed, William and Harry would continue to carry the weight of their mother's death with them. For William, his grief was something he buried deep within himself for a long time. As a teenager, he felt the pressure to be strong and composed, both for his family and for the public. His duty as a future king meant that he couldn't afford to let his emotions take over. It was only much later, as an adult, that he began to open up more about his grief and the impact it had on him. The royal family's response to Diana's death was shaped by a complex mixture of personal grief and public duty. While the Queen's efforts to protect William and Harry were crucial during the early days, it was clear that there was no easy way for the young princes to process such a monumental loss. The experience of grief, especially for someone as young as William, is never linear. It is a journey that is personal, sometimes private, and often difficult to navigate. And for William, as he later acknowledged, it would be a long time before he could fully process the depth of his loss and what it meant for his life moving forward. Now, we want to hear your thoughts. Do you think Prince William's silence was the best way to cope with his grief? Or do you believe he should have spoken more openly about it? Drop a comment below to share your perspective. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with others who might find this story just as captivating. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on more royal insights.
It was going to cause more harm than good.
The feud within the royal family has reached a boiling point. Prince Harry and Prince William are no longer holding back as they reportedly make their ultimate move against Queen Camilla. Accused of betrayal, manipulation, and leaking royal secrets to the press, Camilla's actions have left the nation stunned. The rift between the brothers and their stepmother has only grown deeper, and what the princes did next is sending shockwaves across the monarchy. Is this the beginning of the end for Queen Camilla?
What made her dangerous because of the connections that she was forging within the British press.
Prince Harry accuses Queen Camilla of manipulating the media. Prince Harry has never shied away from speaking his mind, and his latest accusations against Queen Camilla have sent shockwaves through the royal family and the public. In a series of interviews and his explosive memoir Spare, Harry described Camilla as dangerous, accusing her of manipulating the media to repair her public reputation. According to Harry, Camilla traded private information about the royal family with the British press in exchange for favorable coverage, a move he claims came at the expense of others, including himself and Prince William. Harry alleges that Camilla's efforts to rehabilitate her image began after she was widely viewed as the villain in the love triangle between her, King Charles, and Princess Diana. Following Diana's death, Camilla worked tirelessly to gain public approval, eventually becoming Queen Consort. However, Harry claims this transformation was achieved through a calculated campaign of leaks to the media, portraying her in a positive light while damaging the reputation of others in the royal household. One of Harry's most shocking claims is that Camilla's PR team leaked stories about his own struggles, including his use of drugs, to distract the press and shift attention away from her controversial past. He described this as a barter deal with the media, where Camilla provided inside information in exchange for glowing headlines. Harry even suggested that Camilla's actions left bodies in the street, referring to the damage done to family members' reputations. The tension between Harry, William, and Camilla dates back decades. Both brothers opposed their father's marriage to Camilla in 2005, believing it was inappropriate for the woman they blamed for the breakdown of their parents' marriage to become their stepmother. While they publicly wished their father well, behind the scenes, resentment lingered. Harry's accusations have reignited that animosity, making it clear that the wounds of the past have not healed. Despite these claims, Camilla has remained silent, with supporters pointing out her years of dedication to charitable work and the late Queen Elizabeth's endorsement of her as Queen Consort. However, Harry's accusations have painted a darker picture of her rise to power, leaving the nation divided. Is Camilla the manipulative figure Harry describes, or a misunderstood woman navigating a complex royal life? Harry and William opposed their father, marrying Camilla. The royal family has always been surrounded by drama, but few moments have been as controversial as King Charles's marriage to Camilla in 2005. While the public was divided over the union, Prince Harry and Prince William were firmly against it. The two brothers, still grieving the loss of their mother, Princess Diana, saw Camilla as the woman who had played a key role in the breakdown of their parents' marriage. Their opposition to the marriage was both personal and emotional. For years, Charles and Camilla had been romantically involved, even during Charles's marriage to Diana. Diana famously revealed the affair in her explosive 1995 interview, stating, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." This betrayal left a lasting impact on her sons, who harbored deep resentment toward Camilla as the other woman. When Charles announced his plans to marry Camilla, Harry and William reportedly begged their father not to go through with it. In his memoir Spare, Harry opened up about this difficult time. He described how he and William pleaded with their father to reconsider, arguing that the marriage would only bring more pain and controversy. However, Charles was determined to marry the woman he loved. Feeling defeated, the brothers eventually gave him their blessing, shook his hand, and assured him there were no hard feelings. But behind the scenes, the resentment lingered. Harry and William's disapproval stemmed not just from Camilla's role in their parents' failed marriage, but also from their fears about what her presence in the royal family would mean. Harry, in particular, admitted that the worried Camilla might become a wicked stepmother, like in the fairy tales he read as a child. He also accused her of being manipulative and using her relationship with the press to improve her public image, often at the expense of others in the royal family. Even after the marriage, the relationship between Camilla and the brothers remained frosty. Their interactions were polite but distant, with no warmth or genuine connection. The scars from the past were too deep to heal. To this day, Harry and William's opposition to their father's marriage to Camilla remains one of the most talked about chapters in royal history. Camilla's alleged role in leaking stories about the royal family. The royal family has always been surrounded by whispers, but Prince Harry's claims about Queen Camilla have ignited a firestorm of controversy. According to Harry, Camilla allegedly leaked private information about royal family members to the media as part of a calculated plan to rebuild her public image. In his memoir, Spare, and various interviews, Harry paints a picture of a woman who was willing to sacrifice others, including her stepsons Harry and William, to secure her place in the royal hierarchy. Harry alleges that Camilla entered into a barter agreement with the British press, exchanging sensitive royal details for positive coverage of herself. This, he claims, was part of a long-term strategy to repair her reputation after being labeled the villain in King Charles and Princess Diana's marriage. Harry described her as dangerous in an interview, suggesting that her close ties with the media made her a threat to anyone who stood in her way. Perhaps the most shocking of Harry's accusations is that Camilla's PR team leaked damaging stories about him and William to shift negative attention away from herself. Harry believes that details about his experimentation with drugs and other personal struggles were deliberately fed to the press to clean up Camilla's image. In his words, there were bodies left in the street as a result of her attempts to secure favorable headlines. The tension between Harry, William, and Camilla has long been a topic of speculation, but Harry's revelations have given the public an unprecedented look behind palace walls. Both brothers reportedly opposed their father's marriage to Camilla in 2005, fearing her influence in the royal family. While they eventually appeared to accept her publicly, Harry's accusations suggest that resentment has simmered beneath the surface for years. Camilla, for her part, has remained silent on the allegations, but royal insiders have defended her, pointing to her years of charitable work and her close relationship with King Charles. Even the late Queen Elizabeth publicly endorsed her as Queen Consort, praising her dedication to the monarchy. Despite this, Harry's claims have left the public divided. Is Camilla a cunning figure who manipulated the press at the expense of others? Or is she a misunderstood woman navigating the complexities of royal life? One thing is clear, the drama within the royal family is far from over. Strained relationship between Camilla and her stepson princes. The relationship between Queen Camilla and her stepsons, Prince William and Prince Harry, has long been a source of tension within the royal family. Despite public appearances of unity, insiders reveal that the bond between them has always been strained, rooted in the bitter history of their parents' marriage and Camilla's role in their father's life. For William and Harry, Camilla was not just their father's new wife. She was the woman widely seen as the third person in King Charles and Princess Diana's marriage. Diana's famous comment, "There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," left no doubt in the public's mind about Camilla's involvement. This perception deeply impacted the young princes, who grew up watching their mother's heartbreak unfold before the world. When Charles announced his plan to marry Camilla in 2005, both brothers were reportedly unhappy. Harry later admitted in his memoir Spare that he and William had asked their father not to marry her, fearing it would only bring more pain and controversy. However, Charles was determined, and the princes eventually gave their reluctant approval, shaking his hand and wishing him well. Despite this, insiders say the resentment lingered, especially for Harry. Attempts to bridge the gap between Camilla and her stepsons have reportedly been unsuccessful. Interactions between them are described as polite but distant, with no genuine warmth. Royal events often highlight this tension, as Harry and William are said to maintain a careful distance from their stepmother. Camilla, aware of their feelings, has reportedly accepted her position as an an outsider in their eyes. Harry has been particularly vocal about his feelings toward Camilla, accusing her of leaking private family details to the press to rehabilitate her public image. In interviews and his memoir, he called her dangerous and claimed she sacrificed others, including him and William, to improve her standing with the media. William, though less outspoken, is believed to share similar sentiments, holding on to loyalty to their late mother, Princess Diana. The strained relationship between Camilla and her stepsons is a painful reminder of the complexities within the royal family. While public smiles and handshakes suggest unity, the emotional scars left by the past seem far from healed, leaving Camilla's bond with William and Harry forever fractured. Camilla's influence on King Charles and royal affairs. Queen Camilla's rise to power within the royal family has been surrounded by controversy, with many insiders claiming her influence over King Charles has grown significantly since their marriage. While Camilla is often portrayed as a supportive partner, critics, including Prince Harry, have accused her of being the real power behind the throne, using her position to shape royal decisions and dynamics in her favor. But how much influence does Camilla truly have, and how has it affected the royal family? Camilla's journey into the royal spotlight was never smooth. After being blamed for the breakdown of King Charles and Princess Diana's marriage, she worked hard to rebuild her public image. Her efforts eventually earned her the title of Queen Consort, but Harry and William reportedly viewed her growing influence with suspicion. Harry, in particular, accused her of sacrificing others on her PR altar, claiming she used the media to strengthen her position, sometimes at the expense of other family members. One of the most contentious points is Camilla's alleged role in shaping how Charles interacts with his children. Insiders suggest that Camilla has played a significant part in discouraging King Charles from reconciling with Harry following his departure from royal duties in 2020. Reports claim she has taken a firm stance against Harry and Meghan's potential return to the royal fold, even going so far as to block Harry from visiting his father without prior notice. This has reportedly caused tension between Camilla and King Charles, who is said to be open to mending his relationship with his sons, but only on his own terms. Camilla's growing influence extends beyond family disputes. She is believed to have a strong hand in Charles's public and private affairs, often guiding his decisions. For example, when Charles publicly revealed his health issues earlier this year, Camilla was reportedly against the announcement, preferring to keep such matters private. However, Charles overruled her, reportedly after being encouraged by William and Harry to set an example for the public. Despite these claims, Camilla has also been credited with bringing stability to Charles's life and supporting his duties as monarch. But her influence remains a divisive topic. Is she a guiding force helping Charles navigate his role, or is she using her position to consolidate power within the palace? The debate continues, with Camilla's role in royal affairs sparking controversy both inside and outside the monarchy. King Charles caught between his wife and sons. King Charles finds himself in an unenviable position, trapped between the growing tension of his wife, Queen Camilla, and his sons, Prince William and Prince Harry. What should have been a time of unity for the royal family has instead become a battlefield, with Charles struggling to maintain peace while navigating one of the most complicated family rifts in modern royal history. The source of the tension largely revolves around Charles's marriage to Camilla. For years, both William and Harry harbored resentment toward their stepmother, whom they saw as the woman who played a key role in the breakdown of their parents' marriage. Diana's infamous 1995 interview, in which she declared, "There were three of us in this marriage," cemented Camilla's image as the other woman. While Charles ultimately married Camilla in 2005, neither William nor Harry ever fully accepted her as part of the family. Behind closed doors, the tension has reportedly only worsened over the years. Harry, in particular, has been vocal about his disdain for Camilla, accusing her of manipulating the media to rehabilitate her image. In his memoir Spare, Harry claimed that Camilla's relationship with the press came at the expense of other family members, including himself and William. He even went so far as to call her dangerous in interviews, citing her alleged willingness to sacrifice others for favorable headlines. As king, Charles is now caught in the middle of this feud. Reports suggest that he has tried to act as a mediator between his sons and his wife, but his efforts have been met with resistance. Camilla has reportedly taken a tough stance against Harry, particularly after his public attacks on her character. Some insiders claim she has even blocked Harry from visiting his father without prior notice, further complicating any efforts at reconciliation. Meanwhile, Charles is said to be open to repairing his relationship with Harry, but only on his own terms. However, this puts him at odds with Camilla, who reportedly believes the king has no reason to feel guilty or reach out to Harry and Meghan. The ongoing feud has left Charles in an impossible position, torn between loyalty to his sons and his devotion to his wife. As the tension continues to escalate, the question remains, can Charles ever bring peace to his fractured family, or will the divide grow even deeper? Harry's memoir, Spare, and additional criticisms of Camilla Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, has taken the world by storm, offering a raw and unfiltered look into his life as a royal and the struggles he faced growing up in the public eye. However, one of the most explosive aspects of the book is Harry's pointed criticisms of Queen Camilla. His revelations have not only shocked royal watchers, but have also reignited the long-standing tension within the royal family. In Spare, Harry holds nothing back when discussing his feelings about Camilla, whom he refers to as dangerous. He accuses her of manipulating the media to shape her public image while sacrificing the reputations of others, particularly his and his brother William's. This characterization paints a picture of a woman willing to go to great lengths to secure her position as queen consort, even at the expense of her stepsons. Harry claims that Camilla's close relationship with the press allowed her to leak damaging stories about him and William, using their struggles to distract from her own controversial past. Harry's portrayal of Camilla is particularly striking because it reveals the deep emotional scars left by their mother, Princess Diana's tragic death. He suggests that Camilla represents everything that went wrong in their family, positioning her as a symbol of betrayal and heartbreak. The prince's memories of his mother's suffering at the hands of the royal family only amplify his criticisms of Camilla, making it clear that these feelings run deep. As the public reaction to Spare unfolds, many are left wondering how Camilla will respond to Harry's accusations. While she has remained mostly silent, royal insiders are reportedly braced for potential fallout. The divide between the brothers and their stepmother has only widened, raising questions about the future dynamics within the royal family. Additionally, Harry's criticisms have sparked conversations about the broader implications of Camilla's role in the monarchy. Are her actions as manipulative as Harry suggests, or is she simply a woman trying to navigate the complexities of royal life? As the debate rages on, it's clear that Spare has opened old wounds and reignited a debate that many thought was settled long ago. Harry's desire to reintegrate into the royal family. Prince Harry's journey away from royal life has been filled with drama and heartache, but recent reports suggest he may be yearning to find his way back into the fold. After stepping back from royal duties in 2020 and moving to the United States, Harry's relationship with his family has been strained, particularly with his father, King Charles, and his stepmother, Queen Camilla. However, whispers of Harry's desire to reintegrate into the royal family have sparked hope among royal watchers and fans alike. The turning point for Harry seems to have come after the birth of his two children, Archie and Lilibet. As a father, Harry has expressed a desire for his children to connect with their royal roots. He often reflects on his childhood memories of family gatherings, royal events, and the importance of tradition. In interviews, he has mentioned wanting his children to have a sense of belonging within the royal family, which has made him reconsider his decision to distance himself. Harry's recent public appearances have also hinted at his desire for reconciliation. During a visit to the UK for various events, including the unveiling of a statue of his mother, Princess Diana, Harry appeared more open and willing to engage with his family. Reports suggest he has reached out to old friends and aides, seeking to rebuild bridges that had been burnt over the past few years. His willingness to be back in the UK, despite the media scrutiny, indicates a strong desire to reconnect. However, the path to reintegration is fraught with challenges. The ongoing tensions with Camilla remain a significant hurdle. Harry's criticisms of her in his memoir, Spare, have not gone unnoticed, making it difficult for him to find common ground with her. Additionally, William has also been hesitant, still holding on to the wounds from the past. Family dynamics are complicated, and the brothers' relationship needs healing before any real reconciliation can happen. Despite these challenges, Harry has shown signs of hope. He has expressed a desire for honest conversations with his family, emphasizing the importance of understanding and healing. The royal family, often seen as a fortress of tradition, now faces the challenge of adapting to a new era where communication and openness could bridge the gap. Future tensions, lawsuits, and the paperback release of Spare Prince Harry's memoir, Spare, has already made waves with its explosive revelations, but the upcoming paperback release is set to reignite tensions within the royal family and possibly lead to more legal battles. As the world eagerly anticipates the new edition, which promises additional content and insights, questions loom about how it will impact Harry's already strained relationships with his family, particularly with King Charles and Prince William. The paperback version of Spare is rumored to include new chapters that delve deeper into Harry's experiences and emotions since the original release. This fresh content may shed light on ongoing conflicts, including his complicated relationship with Queen Camilla and the fallout from his decisions to step back from royal duties. With the royal family still reeling from the initial accusations and revelations, the prospect of further details being shared in print is causing anxiety among palace insiders. One of the most pressing concerns is the potential for lawsuits. Following the original release of Spare, there were murmurs that some members of the royal family were considering legal action over the memoir's content. As Harry prepares to unveil more personal stories, the likelihood of legal disputes increases. Royal experts suggest that if Harry continues to make accusations against Camilla or shares sensitive information about family matters, it could push Charles and William to take a stand in court. Moreover, the book's revelations have already strained relationships to the breaking point. The already rocky dynamic between Harry and his family has been exacerbated by his candid critiques of Camilla and his portrayal of his upbringing. The potential for fresh revelations in the paperback adds a layer of uncertainty, as it could lead to more public feuds and further divide the family. As the publication date approaches, the world watches with bated breath. Will Harry's revelations bring about more tension and lawsuits, or could they help pave the way for understanding and healing? The future of the royal family hangs in the balance, and the paperback release of Spare may just be the catalyst that determines their fate. Only time will tell how this chapter of royal history unfolds.